Hi there. Thank you so much for listening to Grounded in Maine today. My name is Amy Fagan, and my guest today is Geeta Sidhu-Robb, and she is in London. Very fancy on a Saturday, of course, that we're recording because, time difference and all. But so Geeta, thank you so much for hanging out with me today. I am thrilled about your message.
Thank you very much for having me. I'm absolutely delighted to be hanging out with you on my Saturday.
Yay. And so we're talking women's empowerment, which is super cool. And so you have a business and you call it WCorp, Corp,
Yeah.
Corp. And so why don't you tell us about that first of all? Because I'm not gonna do a good job.
No, I mean, like, how can you tell? I would, talk your ear off. So we need to set the scene a little bit. I've been a single parent my entire adult life. So I had my first child in my 20s and he was really ill. And then, but literally I've been a single parent my entire adult life and my kids are in their 20s. And so when I got, that means I was paying school fees, like a single parent responsible financially, economically, everything. Nothing so old, whatever. And there I am happily going through this. And I had become an entrepreneur because I used to be a lawyer and I became an entrepreneur in order to be able to work from home and look after the sick kid and, do what I was doing. So as I'm going through this process, I get to about 2, 3 years ago. And I'm like, you know what? I am entering, and this is the joys of perimenopause. I was like, I am entering my superficial era. All right, let's be very clear. I want to sit in a corner, stroke my Chanel handbag, and sip my martini, and everybody else should go to hell because this is my
I
superficial.
earned that. Yeah.
This is mine, and I'm so happy, and you don't need to be happy. And I'm going to sit somewhere in the sun. I'm a happy woman. And the universe was like, hold my beer. I'm like, what do you mean, hold my
What's
beer?
this?
And you have to understand, it sounds like a terrible thing to say, but in fact, I have had massive amounts of impact in my life. I have been the only brown woman to stand for parliament here, in the first ever. I have, I just have changed the face of health in this country. I've done lots and lots and lots and lots of amazing things. I earned my little superficial era. The universe was like, continue to hold my beer, babe. I was like, this is so rude. And so while I was holding the beer, I was listening to an episode, reading a court transcript of a woman five women who had taken a man to court, our very own Harvey Weinstein, who ran a big asset management firm that turned over hundreds of millions every single year. And he had been sexually assaulting the women that worked for him for about 18 years. And every time they ended up in court, the judge would say, stop doing that. They don't like it, and give him 100 grand because we're not American. And he'd go off and do the next one because he doesn't care about 100 grand. He was earning 27 million a year or something. So it wasn't until one of our newspapers really dug in and built the case against him. And then the Me Too movement came. Yay, thank you, Donald Trump, first time around. That this all changed. And these five women finally got him in court. And this woman said, in her transcript, she goes, well, this is what it was like when we were on the top floor and he was getting into the lift to go down to the ground floor. I would ring the minute he entered the lift and the doors closed behind him. I would ring them on the ground floor and say, he's on his way, get behind a locked door.
Oh,
And I'm like, I'm sorry, what? You cannot tell me that a day where you go to work and come home without being sexually assaulted is a bonus day. And you obviously can't
because you
find
were
out,
hiding.
right, behind a locked door. But also, another day got through without being assaulted. No. So what does that mean? And it means you cannot find other work. It means you don't know how to find another job. It means you need this money. It means you're trapped. And I couldn't get past it. I was like, someone should do something about this.
Yeah.
And I went off to, stroke my little handbag. And the universe was like, what did I tell you about that beer? And I was like, no, 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 I don't want to lift any more boulders and heavy weights and just let me do nothing for a hot minute. And the universe was like, yeah, that's not happening. So then, because I wasn't paying enough attention, no, we have to really give the universe all the kudos for being really, really shirty at this stage. My eldest daughter is working in the cafe around the corner from her university.
Mhm.
And she has this job 3, 4 days a week, and she gets fired. She got fired for having a period. because her periods, she sort of has low-grade endometriosis, and her periods meant that she
Okay.
had 2 shifts neck and neck that she couldn't work. And so you were allowed to fire if that happened. So she got fired. So she rings me up going, Mama, you said you were going to do something about this. Do something. And I'm like,
Oh,
would you like some money? She's like, I'm like, oh my God. So it was a pincer movement where everybody just came and I was like, I just want to point out when you say these things that I'm pretty sure nobody like goes off and tries to be heroic. I think we're all just being cowardly in the corner, and the universe is like, nah, I have anointed you. You will be screwed over. Off you go onto that white horse, and there are no breaks.
right,
And so, there we are. So then I was like, oh, okay. Because it's one thing to ignore the universe, which I'm really able to do. It's just much, much harder to ignore my child because
right,
they
right.
know where you live. So I was like, oh, okay. So I rang up. I did a bit of research around this, and Forbes, who I had like some kind of media contract with, had interviewed 75,000 women and what it was like to be in a good workplace for women. 75,000. So these women.
So that was already done before.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So
Wow.
I said, can I have that data? And they went, yeah. I was like, thank you. And because I had run a health and wellness business that was highly women focused, and I've worked with 21,000 women over that period of time, I had data on 21,000 women. So I'm like, I have data on 96,000 women, and I know the results of a bad workplace on your physicality, on your cortisol, your perimenopause, everything.
Right.
I was like, I must be able to make something. So I thought, okay, let's just use our brain for a hot minute because I'm not good at that. I'm like, I'll just dive in. I'm like, nope, nope, we're going to be intelligent. So I take a step back and I'm like, okay, I'm going to give it 5 years. What can I do in 5 years to completely change how women are in the workplace? Because I'm just really hard to ignore. What can I do that would really work? And I couldn't work it out, and I couldn't work it out. And I was like, it has to be something really simple because I don't understand DEI. I'm the brown one. I don't even know what we're talking about. So I don't get it. I don't know how to make it work. And I have to go to university to learn 3 of the words. I don't understand the language. It's not available and accessible for me. So I'm there thinking about it. And I had a client come in who works in a very, very, one of the largest telecom companies in the world.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, you know what? Let's say he was Japanese and they were Spanish. And he comes to me and he goes, Geeta, I'm really struggling because he's been moved to Spain and he's been promoted and he runs a company with 2,000 people. And he says to me, you know what? I look like an idiot because I'm trying to speak Spanish. I don't speak Spanish very well. So these guys are like basically laughing at me. I have zero authority and I don't know what to do about it. And I was like, how?
2,000 people and he has no authority? Ooh.
Well, because he wasn't speaking the language. And he's like, I'm not learning it fast enough and I feel
Yeah.
really terrible. Of course, he had the authority of, I can fire you, but that's not the
That's
authority.
not that's not the plan. Yeah.
So there I am. And I'm thinking, what's the really simplest version of this? I was like, one of the official languages of this global business is English. And your English is amazing. Tell them all to speak English. She went, all
Do
2,000
that.
of them? I'm like, babe, tell them all to speak English. He went, okay. I think he must have just lost it at some stage because he made them all speak English. He came back 4 weeks later and he said, oh my God, that was the most genius but simplest idea I've ever heard. And I'm like, what happened? Because, hooray for it working type thing. He said, well, they're so worried about their English. Nobody cares about my
Yeah.
Spanish. So now when I speak Spanish, they're so frigging grateful.
That you're
Ain't nobody
trying.
got it.
Yeah.
And in life, I'm a mother, right? I've always found that the simplest concepts are the easiest concepts to explain, to amplify, to apply, all those things.
Sure.
So I was like, well, simplest thing is you have a man's washroom and a woman's washroom. And they're made biologically fit for a purpose. Nobody ever in a woman's washroom complains, why isn't there a urinal? Nobody in a man's washroom ever complains, why are there no tampons? Right? They don't.
Right.
So what if we made and they exist under the same roof in every big organization. What if we made workplaces that were biologically compatible for each of the women and the men? Simple idea. The men's one already exists. We know that men go to work for this and this. They do this. It fits in with the narrative. Perfect. So the woman's one now has to take into account the fact that we'll have periods, the fact that we may or may not have children, the fact that perimenopause is going to kick our ass for 11 to 13 years, and the fact that we might have to look after our elderly parents. So for the woman, you have to take into account cultural biological obligations. But none of them have to impact each other because you don't have a period. So why do you care how I deal with my period? And I, have to, here we are. So I was like, well, that would be great. What if we could do that? And then we just made a system that enabled them both to happen and live under the same roof. So then I set up WCorp, and that is what we do. And that is absolutely the longest answer. I'm so sorry.
I love it. I mean, if you guys are watching, you can see this. If you're listening, I have a big smile on my face because this is amazing. I mean, you were saying it's just like the most simple thing, and I am unfortunately not that person. I'm like, I always go for the hardest. Like, how can I do this the most difficult that's going to make me fumble more than anything? But so people that are just like, this is just do that. I'm like, that's amazing. You're a
Because
genius.
I'm a coach, right? I've been a coach for a really long time. So my job is to take something and make it the simplest possible version, and make it work as the simplest possible version, and then still make women feel happy in whatever the solution is that you come up with.
Yeah.
And I was just like, fine, let's certify businesses as being workplaces where women feel safe, supported, and productive in order so that they can succeed. And and we put them through a bunch of questions, and there's like 108 points you can get out of 108. And as long as you get over 80%, we will WCorp certify you. We'll give you a big stamp, and we will tell you, and the rest of the world, we put you on a global map. We have about 35% are US businesses, right? So it's been, we have a really good base in the US because it's a
Would you
global.
say 35%?
Yeah, yeah. So it's been, I love American women though. They're the best at making things change and happen. And so that's kind of what it is.
Wow. That's incredible. That's incredible. So, okay, so we've got the backstory. Um, okay, so you were saying if a workplace gets 80%, they will be certified. Um, and the 20%, how does that work? So, and this
You're
started,
not going for perfection,
okay,
right? You're not going for perfection. You're not going for, I want a
I'm
huge
making effort.
budget
Yeah,
and I don't want to set up a whole department. I just want this to work well enough.
got
Because
it,
even with men, uh, the way male infrastructure for an office is set up doesn't work for 100% of men.
for sure.
So we're not trying to do that. If it works at 80% for the requirements of women, I'm a very happy woman. Let's get on with it and move on.
Yeah.
And so so we certify you, and then it means that every woman that's coming to work in that place knows we've done all the fighting for you already. You don't have to have these fights in the workplace.
Mm. Yeah, for sure. Because people are making an effort and people actually care about each other. What a
Yeah, and I
concept. What
think
a
that's the way
concept.
forward. Well, I mean, I do think, honestly speaking, that is going to come up more and more going forward.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, that's amazing. So tell me, and um, all right, so we are talking about the W core. So what is there more that we need to know about that? Because I know you have a very long career behind you that we
Oh,
don't
that's
know
a very long
about.
time.
Well, I mean, just saying, you were saying you were a lawyer, but you have this the coaching business also.
But it was quite sequential. I was a lawyer for as little time as I could because I hated it, but I'm Indian, so they made me, right? There was no way around that. So I did that. Then I stopped doing that because I had to work from home. And then I became an entrepreneur because I had no other choice. And then, from being an entrepreneur, then these women would come in and they'd be like, I have to lose weight. And you're like, babe, you are so skinny. If you want to lose weight, we'd have to cut your hair, maybe your
Oh,
nails. Like, I do not know where you're going to lose weight. And they were always really American because it was the American version of
mm,
skinny, skinny, blonde, blonde, blonde with high perky boobs was that, and we just didn't have that thing
right.
here. I was like, these women, I'm like, oh my God, that is really stupid. And they were like, huh? I was like, don't do that. So then they'd come back and they'd go, can you talk to me like that again? I'm like, call you stupid? They're like, we'll pay you. I'm like, sure, I can do that. And it turned out that was coaching. Who knew?
Right. Well, I mean, yeah, I think that in life, I mean, as one of those women who is not skinny or perky or anything, but like we, some people crave someone to just tell them like it is. People are so afraid of hurting people's feelings, and I'm not opposed to that, but at the same time, like sometimes things actually need to be said, like we need to understand things and know. that, what you're doing is not going to work. You can keep like not eating and you can keep exercising like crazy, but if you're doing the wrong thing, you're not going to get the results you're looking for.
And you said that really well, because there are a couple of instances in life where that is very, very vital information for women to understand. Like I did a video on TikTok, which is where I speak about perimenopause. I did a video on TikTok about 3, 4 years ago. And I was like, this is bullshit. There's the thing called stress fat. And the thing about stress fat is that with stress fat, you gain weight if you're stressed and you eat too little and you work out too much. So when you get in perimenopause, you have to do this differently, and don't let any man trainer tell you different. And at that stage, it went viral, like 3, 4, whatever years ago. And people like attacked and stitched it, and oh my God, stupid woman doesn't understand anything. And I'm like, babe, I completely understand women's bodies way better than you do. And it's very funny because this has now just become an accepted thing that we're telling women again and again and again, do not overwork out. Do please eat. Like now I consciously eat more than I want to eat because I'm used to not eating a huge amount, because in perimenopause, there is no choice but to eat more. And if you don't eat more, you gain weight. So it is a very interesting kind of place to be.
Yeah.
How can you be empowered if you're physically weak, or you hate your body, or you think you're stupid, or you think you're fat and ugly?
Yes.
That's not a form of empowerment.
Okay. So on that note, I'm not going to say outright that I fall into that category. Minus the working out and the eating less. But we try and we're, everything that, no, I'll totally, like, it's me. Like everything that I do is not working. And I eat healthy and I'm exercising some and I'm, whatever. But like it's menopause is a bitch, man.
The only thing that works in menopause, there's a couple of things here. There's the mental, emotional thing of this, and there's the physical one. The things that will make the biggest difference to you, you have to do one of each, right? In the physical aspects, the only thing that is going to make a difference is for you to lower your glucose spikes. And like when women come in the door, the first thing I'll tell you is that perimenopause is the biggest gift nature has ever given us as women. So this was the universe saying, I'll take my beer back now, Geeta. I'm like, thanks. Perimenopause is the only time women are forced to put themselves first, otherwise they don't survive it.
Yeah.
And like we have
Oh, I
never been
love how
taught
you said
that.
that though. That's the biggest gift because that is so not how I've thought of it.
You won't
Thank
survive it.
you.
You will not survive perimenopause if you don't put yourself first. If you're the traditional woman that you've been all along, where you're like, oh my God, the babies are first. Oh my God, my partner is first. Oh, my husband is first. My family's first. You're screwed. Perimenopause will ring you up, jump up and down on your prone body until you work out that it's got to be about you. It is the biggest gift nature gives us, the biggest.
Mm.
So you want to go into perimenopause embracing the crap out of that, because that's number one. Number two, if you're trying to lose, you have to think of stress fat. Stress fat is a high cortisol environment. And in order for you to manage cortisol fat, please, for the love of God, eat 3 times a day. Do not intermittent fast and all this, please, please, please don't do cardio. Like I did CrossFit 4 times a week. Can't do any of that shit, right? I do yoga, I do weightlifting. Those are the only two things you actually need to do.
Yeah.
But lower your insulin levels, because perimenopause is the single biggest metabolic upheaval a woman is ever, ever, ever going to go through in life.
Yeah.
So what you want to do is rebalance your metabolism. And the way to do that is to manage insulin. So if those are a lot of words I've just said to you, lift weights, don't cardio, and lower your insulin. How are you going to do that? You have to measure glucose spikes. You have to. And if you measure glucose spikes, I can guarantee you between now and the next 4 weeks, you will lose 4 to 5 kilos without blinking. Without blinking.
Hmm.
And so there's a really fabulous woman called Glucose Goddess. She has a great system. Just use her system. It's great. I wouldn't tweak it. It's perfect. And she just is like, before you eat a salad or have a little bit of vinegar and water, and manage the glucose spikes, and so that will change your life.
Hmm.
Definitely look at that. That is your physical element, because once you can start your body weight going down, So high insulin screws up a lot of things, right? It raises cortisol, raises inflammation, stops you sleeping well, stops you absorbing nutrients from your body, makes you retain water. It fucks up it screws up your periods. It does a lot of things. So if you can reduce your insulin spikes, everything gets better.
Mhm.
So that's your physical side. Yeah.
Right.
We good.
Yeah. I mean, I'm just starting to learn about the cortisol part because I was like, oh my gosh, damn menopause. But it's not, I'm starting to think that maybe it's not all that. And so I'm starting to learn about the cortisol, but I have not gotten very far with that.
I have a lot of videos on this on TikTok. Stress fat, cortisol, everything. But honestly, just change your glucose. Like I don't make money out of anything I put on there. That's just, it's there because it should be talked about. But the second thing is that emotionally, as women, we are trapped in a prison where we don't understand the difference between self-confidence and self-esteem. And I'm absolutely the only woman I know that talks about this, but I have the privilege of having a vast array of experience in here because I've spoken to the most famous women in the world who can't walk into a normal airport entrance, which, by the way, is very interesting when you travel with them. And women like you and I who are really normal. And it is across the entire board. So our self-confidence comes about with our behavior at work. It's
Mhm.
our doing space, right? We're very good at doing. And so we get a lot of competence out of that and makes us happy and it makes us, confident and all of those things. But the problem is that our self-esteem is how we feel. And
Hmm.
that has a very technical term. It's called we feel like shit.
Technically, yes.
Now,
Yeah.
men don't have this because testosterone as a hormone almost doesn't allow for this. It's a very sledgehammery kind of hormone and it pushes, and that's why they're providers and pushy and this and this and this. Whereas our hormones are much differently balanced. There's estrogen, there's progesterone, there's testosterone, there's a bit of DHEA, and we kind of do all of this stuff.
Hmm.
So for women, it's a completely different place to be than it is for men. And so when we go to work and do amazing stuff and come home and have zero boundaries, get walked on, get treated like shit, just do everything for everyone else, that is having low self-esteem. And I would like to assure you from my vast experience of dealing with some insanely successful women that you can run £100 million business. Damn it, you can be one of the most globally famous women in the world. You can be a royal and you can have really shit self-esteem.
Hmm.
And that is a problem.
Yeah.
And the more you understand that and build your self-esteem so that there's better alignment between your self-esteem and your self-confidence, that is the only way that you get to expand. You also make a lot more money that way, weirdly. Well, it's really weird. It's kind of like whenever I'm coaching women, you'll find that the better you balance them, they always make more money. And
Right.
I think we're willing to accept more.
Hmm. Yeah. I mean, that makes sense. That totally makes sense. Um, the more, I mean, if you have that self-confidence, that self-esteem, you're going to demand more. And then in fact, you will get that.
But Amy, you don't need to demand more when you feel powerful inside yourself.
Ooh.
Because like I was 20 years ago, I was homeless and destitute with three small kids under the age of 7. Because when I walked out of my marriage, he emptied every bank account and I was like, and my mother was very unhappy with my life choices, shall we say. So I was there and I went from that space to the person that I am today. I don't need to demand very much. I'm one of the most powerful women I know.
You just attract it.
And I like that about me. And so I show up as me. And my confidence and my self-esteem are really well balanced. So the opportunities arrive and I get to evaluate whether I want them or not. I don't have to, I'm much calmer and softer than I was when I was more abrasive and defensive because I didn't feel strong. I felt
Mm.
like I had to fight for everything.
Hmm. Totally. Ooh, I love that. I wow. Uh I don't even know what to say to that. But I'm just absorbing it all. I'm just absorbing it all because I love your energy. I just love that you have this it's like magnetic. It's like magnetic, at least for me. Um, but
Thank you.
I'm loving this conversation and where it's going. And I'm so, so grateful that one, I get to have this conversation with you, but two, that you have had the experience in your life to be able to make this happen because no one else is doing it, right?
They just are not. They just are not. And I coach people one by one, and I'm like, I'd love to get 1,000 women in a room and friggin' have this conversation instead, because that would just
What a
be so
world
much
that
faster.
would,
Yeah,
yes.
as long as nobody wants me to do the 1,000 women or the room booking or the anything, I will come up and teach that.
Right.
Uh,
I'll show up
you know,
and do my thing.
yeah, exactly. Because that's not my skill set. But the thing that's magnetic really is it on a really high level. Whatever happened to me has happened to so many millions of women, right? The only thing was that I was not willing to accept other people's restrictions on what I was allowed to have. I was like, screw all of you. I want what I want. And I want my children to have what they are entitled to. So when it came down to that, the real difference that makes it's what I'm saying that's magnetic. It's like dropping water on an arid desert. There aren't conversations around us that are saying, why don't you just make yourself the most powerful version? Because then we don't need to worry about anything else.
Mhm.
Because honestly, I say to all my coaching clients, what if everything was your responsibility, but none of it was your fault? And I don't mean looking after other people, nurturing them, because we do all that shit, and that's not what I'm talking about. But what if everything that happened to you was your responsibility, but not your fault? So what if I ended up destitute because of my choices and I'm the one that has to now get out of it?
Mhm.
What if I ended up homeless because of my choices and I'm now the one? And I don't have to then sit around and beating myself up. I've taken that responsibility. Got it. Next.
Right.
There was a place where I put my ex through court for years trying to get a penny off him. And I was like, oh, screw this. I'll go make my own money.
Never
So I did.
mind. Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It just hurts you for so long. It keeps you
Yep.
tied. And then that's why they do it, because they keep you stuck. So I literally was like, we're done. Next. So the real story behind this is, who is it that you want to be? Because let me give you permission to be her,
Mm.
the very best state of who you are. And I hate words like resilience and bounce back. I'm not a friggin' trampoline. I don't want to bounce back. All right. I just want to get up every morning and let me just run the world. I'm good. You can't do a worse job than you people are doing right now. Now, what if 10 women felt like that? What if 50 women felt like that? What if 1,000 women felt like that? We would move the earth on its axis.
Oh my gosh, yeah. I mean, yeah. I mean, you were saying, you're magnetic because um because you have that power inside of you, but also for people who are not where you are right now, it's literally like medicine. Like I had a podcast guest not too long ago. I'm gonna just brag about her for a second, but Laura Hartley. I almost cried. I was very close to crying because she's a coach for change makers, and it's something that I've thought about for a long time. Like, should I run for some local government position or something like a town council or something like that, just to be involved
Yes.
and to be part of that. But at the same time,
Yes.
like I'm also this person who, if someone challenges me, I back off. I'm like, no, I don't want to fight, you
But
know.
you know what? I bet that's not true 100% of the time. I bet that there are places where you do not back off.
I have not found that yet.
No, because somebody hasn't touched that bit yet. But
Yeah,
like there are places where I will not back off anywhere. And the rest of the time I'm like, I really don't care, go for it. But there is a place where
yeah.
if somebody in front of you is hurting a child, would you walk away?
Oh gosh, no.
Would if they were hurting a puppy or a cat, would you
Oh
walk
no.
away? Well, then clearly you have. You've just lived in an environment where those things haven't come and whacked you in the face. But everybody has a space where they won't back away. I
Right.
just happen to have a few more of those than most people.
Well, that's thank goodness for that. I mean, really. Um, because I'm feeling just like so I mean, I'm feeling very empowered. I'm feeling very much like I want you in my ear every day. Um,
Run for something, babe. I promise you, the things you will learn from, I'm trying to work out my lights changing. The things you will learn from running from something, the things you will learn about who you are and what you need and what you want are invaluable lessons. Even by being trolled, and I'm kind of like, your opinion of me is just none of my goddamn business,
I don't
frankly.
need that. Yeah.
I'm getting screwed over by the universe and my beer. I don't need you. Like, I don't have time for that.
Great. Oh my goodness. So would you mind talking about, or is the other business, is that not a thing anymore? Did you want to touch on that or?
Yeah, no, what I did is I put the digital library online. And then I closed down the delivery part of it because that was too painful. The food prices went up too much and it all became a nightmare. And what's interesting, I was saying just as we came on that there was a Google alert that just came up, and Google had actually referenced one of the books that I wrote on ketosis. And I was laughing. I was like, yeah, interesting. Because we came up with this stuff from 2008. So I've been doing this a very long time.
Right.
So I have this insane data library of this stuff.
And now
So
it's coming around.
it'll come around. It is what it is. It's good quality content, and I haven't done anything with it yet. We'll see how it goes.
Wow. Wow. Okay, Geeta, this I feel like so what I was getting to with Laura is just that sometimes I feel so grateful every time I get to have a conversation with somebody, but then there are some people that just like are here just for me. Somehow it just happens that
Yeah,
way.
I know what you mean.
And I'm just loving this and I'm eating it up and I'm just like I'm trying to absorb it all and learn from it. And so I'm hoping that other people are also getting this, particularly the women, but anyone that needs it, this is amazing. And it's literally it's feeling like medicine and I've got like my eyes are starting to get a little bit teary because I just don't know I can't like make words when I'm feeling this. But I also want to be respectful of your time. And I know you said it's going to get noisy at your house, but so um, I want to ask if there's anything else, since we have this platform, we have this space right now, if there's anything else that you want to share. But I also need to ask you just a couple of quick questions for the end of the podcast.
Sure.
Um,
One of the things, tell you a funny story while you're recovering, because it's funny how life honestly throws you curveballs. So I'm sitting there last year and I'm like refusing to set this company up because I'm, still being bloody minded. This is now 23, the end of 23. I stopped making money. I have never not made money. I brought up three children. I pay their bills. I feed them. 3.5 months, I did not make a single penny. And the universe was not messing about. I was like, damn, that's just rude. I was like, okay, I give up. 3rd of January, 2024, I launched the business, registered the name, put up a friggin' website, threw up a page. And my team's like, why do you do things like that? Let us do it. I'm like, I couldn't tell them because it sounded so stupid. I was
I
like, no,
have to.
it's okay. Here, I was like, please, can I make some money now? I've set it up. Okay, I promise I'm going to do this shit. The universe is like, mm-hmm. I was like, damn, that's attitude, real attitude. Wow. So I was like sitting there going, okay, what else can I do? I opened my LinkedIn profile. I've made my LinkedIn all about WCorp. I was like, okay, are you listening? I'm doing it. I promise I'm doing it. The
See,
universe is
I'm
like,
doing it.
uh-huh. There was no response. Then I was like, oh, damn it. Okay. So I'm like, let me find a business to certify. So I found a business certified. I'm like, yes, found another business certified. This woman comes on and does a podcast with me. Let me tell you, if you put a gun to my head, I have no idea how she found my podcast. I don't know who booked her as a guest. I don't know what she's doing on my thing, but you should have her come on. She's the most amazing woman I've ever met. Her name is Celeste Mergens, and she is an American housewife who thought, what do you mean girls that are poor don't have period products? So she made reusable period products and sells 3 million of them a month to 143 countries. And I was like, I'm sorry, what did you say? I was like, can I ask you a question? I'm trying to set up a global movement. Would you please help me to work out how to do that? Please. Like, she goes, absolutely. She's still on she's on my website. And this woman's like, so we finish our podcast. She comes, she sends me a message 2 days later going, I think you should launch this at the UN. I'm like, of course you do, sweetie. And I move on. And she's like, can you send this woman your CV? I'm like, Of course I ignore it. Like, who does shit like that? Nobody. So there's a woman in Australia. She goes, can you please put Geeta on the thing? And then I get a message 2 days later going, CV now. And Celeste is the gentlest, kindest of people. It's like a Sunday. And I'm like, oh, I think she means it. I ran downstairs, got my CV and sent it off. And she went, what are you doing? I said, I'm so sorry I'm being British. I didn't know you meant it. She's like, for the love, honestly. And then we move on.
What
And
is
then,
a CV?
your
Oh,
bio.
okay. All
Yeah.
right. Sorry.
So there I am. Well, it's an old British version, but it's your bio. They're like, how do we promote you if we don't know who you are, right? Type thing. So I'm like, okay. So then about 2 weeks later, there's like a thing comes saying, this is the draft press release for the UN. Will you please approve it? And I'm like, that's never going to happen.
Right.
Sure, approving it. Never going to happen. Keep going. 4 days later, the draft press release becomes actual press release. I'm like, oh my God.
Oh, what?
Whoa, what? And then I'm on a call like this and I see a thing fall and it's a press release and I'm speaking at the UN. Let me tell you, I had my head in between my knees, hyperventilating because I couldn't breathe.
Oh my
And
God.
that date was 10 days away
And
because I wasn't
how long
paying
ago was
attention
that?
last year.
Right. But so you were saying that you were like,
Oh yeah, but no, I'll get, so there I am with my daughters. I'm like,
you
please
were
give me
dragging your feet with starting the business and then,
all of this. So I'm saying to this is now March 24. I'm like, to my daughters, I'm like, guys, would you please come to the UN with me? I have to do this thing. Will you come hold my hand? They're like, absolutely. My son's like, what is this racism, bigotry against the male sex? I'm like, God, babe, sorry. Did you want to come? He goes, oh, hell no, but you should have offered. I'm like, okay. So I literally get my hair done, bought the tickets 5 days before when I was supposed to speak. And we flew out 2 days before. This is how tight it was. This year, I'm wandering along nicely, happily. I'm in Davos for the World Economic Forum, and I get a message going, we'd really like you to represent us at the United Nations. Can you send us your passport? And we'd want to give you a pass. And I'm like, who the hell are you? They're like, oh, so-and-so gave us your details. And I ring them up and I go, did you do that? They're like, yeah. I'm like, oh, I'm giving some random people my passport. They might take my identity. They're like, give them your bloody passport. I'm like, oh, sorry, will do. I am speaking at the UN next week, and they are giving me an award. And this year I've decided to say it a few more times before I go so I can breathe after I've said it. So yeah. So I'm like, yeah. Anyway,
speaking
so
at the United Nations, they're giving me an award.
you don't understand how terrifying it is. I
I,
hope I
I
said
have no doubt.
I'm like, I've got a friend, I'm like, you need to come. The kids are like, should we come? I'm like, no. I was saying to my friend, are you coming? She's like, yeah. I'm like, will you just like take a photograph so we know it happened? She was like, she's laughing. She goes, yeah. I'm like, I'll wear this outfit. I'll cut my hair. I don't even want to think about what. Somebody's like, what are you going to talk about? I'm like, no clue. No clue. We'll get there when we get there. But yeah, so life is, the universe took back its beer and saw me and raised it a bit as a, yeah. Like when they say,
Amazing.
I'll raise you.
Right. I mean, it just it rings for me that you can't escape what you're meant to do. And that's, I mean, it's cool that you had all these prompts to get you there. And I'm just like, I'm waiting for something like that. Not sort of like I don't know, like I feel like I'm waiting for a sign or something. And I
I think you
love
should make your own sign. Because the thing with the universe is that when you may see that look on your face, that look of whoa, me. Well, I mean, yes, the universe obviously is a big bully where I'm concerned, but it does it because I'm available to do the thing I'm supposed to do. I don't let my absolute terror and fear stop me. And I
Mhm.
spent all my life talking about how terrified I am with all this stuff because it's true. I am scared. I do get nervous because I'm human. Why would I not? But I don't wait for someone to give me anything.
Right.
Don't wait. Let me give you permission today. Anyone who's listening and you, Amy, I give you permission to head for the first step, just the first step. Take whatever the first step is. And it's always going to be something you really love and you're really good at. So for all women, we spend our life thinking, oh, I'm good at this. This isn't the thing. The hard thing's over here. I should do that. That is bullshit. Like in my day-to-day life, I'm a raging introvert. I grew up on a farm with one friggin' street. Leave me in a corner with a book and leave me alone with my cats, right? But I am fantastic on stage. and TV because
I
I
can
don't,
imagine.
but it's my job. I learned that,
Yep.
right? But I learned it for a reason. So when it comes to this thing, I learned how to do this. What is
Mhm.
the one step that you know that when you do it, everybody around you lights up? Go do that thing and do it today. You have my permission to do it and be that person. And you can't screw up. What if you couldn't screw up? By the way, I make speeches on how much I screw up. I stand on stages and talk about how much I've screwed up all the time.
Oh, I'm
What would
pretty
you do?
fluent in that.
What would you do that makes people around you just light up? What would be that thing you would do?
I don't know.
Yeah, you do. I mean, you don't have to tell me, but you know,
Well,
do
yeah.
something, anything,
Okay.
anything,
Okay.
anything.
All right. I'm on it. Um,
She's like, can this guest get off the show?
just take the spotlight off of me, please. But I love this so much. I love getting to know you, Geeta. So what does the word sustainability mean to you? I mean, I know when we first got on, you're like, what is that? But
Sustainability for me is creating things that are sustainable. I think it's about creating stuff that survives, and it's almost like legacy. I don't
mm,
want to do something like my business isn't called Geeta Inc. That's not what its job is. Its job isn't to glorify me. Its
yes,
job is to be a sustainable approach to changing a workplace so that my daughters never have to do this dreaded thing and their children don't even understand that this was a problem.
right.
That's what sustainable is to me. How do we put and lay down all the bricks and the paths and the routes and the journeys so that this becomes full sustainable change?
That's beautiful. That's so different than I've heard before, and I love that so much. Just that like so you're like building the foundation so that your grandchildren and people in the future have no idea like what the past has been. Like it's just better and they don't have to deal with this garbage.
And they can't believe it when they look back. It's like when you have a mobile and a rotary telephone, they're like, are you kidding me? So when I started in this country, I brought
Exactly.
fasts into this country, and I was the first company to deliver dairy, gluten, and egg-free food. And nowadays people look back and go, I'm sorry, what? But I was on TV in 2008, 9, 10, being shouted at for telling people not to eat bread. Shouted at. Now it's insane to even think about it.
Right. Now it's like standard.
you
Mm.
know so you are born to make the change that you know how to make, and there is an Amy shaped size hole in the world that only you can fill, and it needs you to step into your place to make that happen, whatever that is, and it's often the smallest thing. Okay, let's do one thing before we go.
And everyone else too.
Okay, for everybody, I want you all to look at the end of your finger. What is this thing here?
Your
What do you
fingerprint.
call it?
Your fingerprints.
Your fingerprint. Why do we all have a unique fingerprint? God got bored?
Identity? I mean,
Apart from that very distinctly human, stupid reason. Why else, spiritually, strategically, universally, would we all
make
have a
a
unique
mark. Yeah,
thing?
to make a mark.
The thing is, let me break it down like this. Imagine if you have this fingerprint, right? And as we go through life and get all these experiences, the fingerprint gets sharper and more solidified and more sharper and more solidified. Because one day you come to a door, and behind that door are all your gifts and skills that you've brought to the world, right? And they're behind this door. And you're the key to open that door with your unique fingerprint. But a wobbly key can't open any door because it doesn't have this, it's just not strong enough. But when you're the strongest, most powerful version of you, you are a key that works in that door, turns the lock, and opens the door and brings all the gifts out that only you can give to the world.
Oh my gosh.
And
I love the way that you said that.
that means your only job is to become the biggest, strongest version of you.
Mhm.
Every single day, that's your only job. So there's nothing to be afraid of because no one else can do this. Only you can.
Right. Okay.
Shall I go away now?
Not quite yet. Um, my last question for you, Geeta, is how can people find you and get more of you?
Thank you. Any like, Geeta Sidhu-Robb on Instagram, on YouTube, on TikTok. I
You're
have
everywhere.
in media and around for so long. There's so much stuff that, you could bore yourself rigid on it, honestly.
Okay. Awesome. My goodness. This is I've said this before, but like I love surprises. I love when things don't go exactly how I plan. Um and for the better, always.
Yeah.
It's always for the better. And I'm just like, I did not know what this was gonna be like. And I am so grateful. I'm so grateful for this time with you, Geeta.
Oh no, I am. You were just the loveliest interviewer. And it's been lovely talking with you and spending the time with you. Thank you very much. Except go and do it.